He's a man, such a man, such a man. He's a real man's man. He's a man, such a man.
Hey Toku Faithful, you're probably thinking it's been a while since you've heard my voice, or you're probably wondering why I'm not saying this in front of a camera. Well, I've decided to put Toku Time on a definite hiatus for a number of reasons, and try my hand at something a little different. Now in the past I've talked about Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, even Power Rangers ad nauseum. But Ultraman, not so much. Maybe a couple times. Well, I'm going to remedy that. Recently, Mill Creek Entertainment has been killing it with the legal release of Ultra series, including shows I thought we'd never see get a release over here. That and Tokushatsu has been doing wonders streaming all these great shows so everybody can see them who can't afford the box sets. And with the recent Shin Ultraman movie coming out, the timing just felt right. Hell, as soon as I began writing this, they announced an Ultraman live show coming to the States, so now I have to do this. What is this? I call it ULTRASPECTICUS. A journey through classic Ultraman. And yes, I totally got that word from The Simpsons. Now to lay down some ground rules. Numero uno. I will not, repeat, not be covering Ultra Q. I'm skipping it. Yes, I know this is the true beginning, and there are some minor connections to it, but I'm keeping the focus on the Ultra Men. And some Ultra Women, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Besides, I may or may not have plans to cover that series at a later date, by other means. Numero tuo. This is strictly old school Ultraman. Nothing past the 80s. No Heisei Ultra series, so don't expect me to point out how an old episode is revisited in a newer series or how older monsters fit into a new show, because that's just going to drive me crazy. Well, crazier. Numero three-o. No Ultraman side stuff, just the series. No movies, crossovers, stage shows, anything of the sort. Even if these movies had legal releases over here, I would probably still skip them. Besides, more often or not, the older movies were basically episodes just slapped together. I also won't be going into the recent Ultraman comics from Marvel. Believe me, I've heard good things and I would love to read them, but I just haven't had the time. I'll also be leaving out both animated Ultraman series, and I won't be going over the recent manga/anime because that's basically an alternate story in an alternate timeline, and it's more or less Iron Ultraman. And lastly, no Ultraman Towards the Future, aka Ultraman Great. I thought about including this, but I decided to leave it out since it doesn't have a true legal release here. Yet. Here's hoping that someday, somehow, Mill Creek can do a legal release of it here, but for now, no dice. Sorry, Jack Shindo. Okay, now to explain how this is going to go down. I'll be going through every classic Ultra series from the very first Ultraman in '66 to Ultraman 80. Covering each episode as I go from series to series with some trivia tidbits thrown in here and there. And I want to stress this right now. This is not, repeat, not a review. This is not a Toku Time review. This is not Toku Time Ultraman. None of these are Toku Time reviews. So you won't see this ugly mug pop up to do unfunny gags. I won't be skipping episodes to focus on only the plot-centric ones. This is not to determine if each Ultra series is good or bad and then give it some arbitrary grading. This is a retrospective, not a review. This time I leave the pros and cons, the skits, and the bad jokes behind. Well, okay, maybe I'll sneak in a few jokes. We'll see.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Well, that's that. Check back soon and join me for our first venture into the 1966 Ultraman series, where we'll go over the origins of the show, meet some iconic baddies, and hear the first ever uttering of Ultraman's most iconic catchphrase. And I'll see you in the land of light.
What a man!